For those of you visiting for the first time, today I'm up here to talk about Guide Dogs of America, where I don't get a cent for this. And it's the best darn thing I ever did in my life, bar none.
I lost my vision in 1995 from diabetes, and it took me a while to adapt to blindness, and I wanted more for my life than what I was actually doing, and started looking into receiving a guide dog. And because I live in LA, I liked the idea that there was a school in Los Angeles, which is Guide Dogs of America. And I received my first guide dog, Nigel, in 2002. And it just changed my life beyond anything I ever would have imagined. And I wanted to be a part of this more than just having a guide dog. I wanted to be a part of the organization. So a year later, I came to Guide Dogs of America, and I started working here in 2003. Here at Guide Dogs of America, we actually breed, raise, and train guide dogs to be matched with blind people so that they can build a successful relationship with the blind person and become their eyes. A guide dog brings you such independence. You can leave and go somewhere when you want to go. It's not based on somebody else's schedule when they can take you. My job is pretty much to increase the awareness of guide dogs and Guide Dogs of America to the community that may not know really what a guide dog does and what a guide dog is. And with my guide dogs, when I had Nigel and now with Carter, we've gone on TV quite a lot on as many things that we could get on, whether it's the KTLA morning show, we were on the Marie Osmond show. One of the highlights of my life was when Carter and I actually threw out the first pitch at a Dodger game. So that was quite an amazing moment in both Carter and my life that we shared together. It actually costs almost $42,000 to put a guide dog team like Carter and I into service. And there's no government funding, so all of the funds are raised from fundraisers that Guide Dogs of America does. We have different fundraisers all over the country, whether it's a motorcycle ride, a golf tournament. We actually even have some people that have been donating $1 a month because that's all that they can afford, but they're doing it because they believe so much in the cause that they want to be a part of it in any way that they can, and that's the best way that they can do, and we appreciate at that level so much. And there's no charge to the recipient of the guide dog. We take care of all of the funds necessary. And even if somebody lived across the country, we would pay for their flight to and from Guide Dogs of America and all of the things that they need while they're here living during that month that they're training with their guide dog.
We first met Lorri back in early 2014, and from the very beginning, she's always been a very welcoming, inviting spirit.
The way that I got involved with Access Services is not only have I been taking Access for 20 years, but Jeffrey called Guide Dogs of America looking for somebody that could educate Access a little bit more on service dogs.
We have a very vocal service animal community. It just makes us more aware of some of the things that we have to take into account, think about when you're actually doing the job. The good thing for us is that Lorri was an Access user, but she also works for Guide Dogs of America. And so she has a broader knowledge of the customer's standpoint of what we should be doing to help provide better service.
I went down to the main office and spoke with a lot of the managers and did a question and answer so that they could become more familiar with what it takes to have a client who's blind with a guide dog. Some of the issues that we were having, I know myself personally, was having a big dog like Carter, for instance. Sometimes we didn't have room for him. because if I traveled with a PCA and then we had a pickup and another pickup on the way, we kind of resolved the fact that we need to start counting these dogs as a person, that taking up the room of one person. So that was a big change for the better. I know that Access has been working on developing a restraint for the dog that would attach to the dog and have the dog be attached to the floor, so that in any case of a short stop, it would, keep the dog from sliding forward and getting injured from that movement, which is a very, very good idea.
She brought to light a lot of the little things that most of us don't take into account. Knowing which side to assist a service animal user, there's a right side and there's a wrong side. You assist them on the opposite side so that you don't get in the way of the service dog moving and navigating with the user. So although it may not seem like a big deal, when you're servicing a customer base like service dog users, it's all about the kind of fundamentals of how you assist in the right ways.
I have noticed that since Access's involvement with finding out more about service animals, that many of the drivers are a little more, I would say, educated in what to do, what not to do with the service animals. For instance, you should never pet a working guide dog or a working service dog without asking the owner first. I've noticed that they're always, which is very good, reminding every client, don't hit your head when you're coming into the van or the car, which is something a blind person, it can happen to a sighted person as well. They just seem a little more attentive lately to the needs and how to handle people with different disabilities, more so than before, and much more so 20 years ago when I first started taking Access. I do see the development and the education coming into play now, very much so.
Not only for Access, but for all of the providers. She just brought to light more things that they may not have been aware of. The population that actually uses the service, who use service animals, is a very small community. However, I always state that it doesn't matter how small the community of ridership is. What matters is the quality of service that they're provided by Access Services. And to me, that's what's most important. With the engravings, Access Services 2014 Spirit of Accessibility Award presented to Lorri Bernson, Guide Dogs of America, for promoting greater access.
For me to be awarded for something that has helped me almost seems backwards, but it's an amazing, great feeling. So I really just want to thank Access, not only for the award, but for making my life so much better. And when you lose your vision, you absolutely lose your independence. It's just one of those things that go with it. And because of Access and having a guide dog, have been able to gain that back 100%. And I want to thank Access Services and everybody involved for giving me that back.
I just want to thank Access again for giving Lorri freedom that Carter's not able to provide. If he could drive, he probably would.